Hey, hey, you. Hey. I think we should probably talk about Nikki Haley. Hey, it's Zach. Welcome back to Bearded Politics. You know, this was kind of off the cuff, but I thought it'd be a pretty good time to talk about it. I mean, it's not necessarily like news because it happened a couple days ago, but your boy Donald J. Trump took New Hampshire, right? But what I wanted to talk about was the fact that his opponent Nikki Haley got the majority of her votes from people that were not registered as a Republican. So let's think about that. Okay. Let's put our tinfoil hats on, right? And let's think about it. If 70% of her votes came from somebody that was not a Republican, what does that tell you? That the Democratic establishment is doing everything that they can to keep Donald J. Trump from winning the primary, right? And I can't really put it past them. I mean, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but let's say the 2020 election was a little suspect at least, right? Because the most popular voted in president of all time, Joe Biden, is well, he's not great. um I feel like it goes without saying that he could use a little work. Um, and you know what? This is off topic from Nikki Haley, but I find it kind of funny. I was talking to one of my peers at my day job, and we were talking about something very similar to this. And I was like, would you trust your 80-year-old grandpa to do anything, to run a country, to drive to the grocery store? And, the answer is usually no, but that's our reality. We have, what is he, like 83, 82, 83-year old president. And, and granted, I feel like anybody that understands how politics work knows that like Joe Biden isn't really the one doing all the stuff. It's more of like, I would call his handlers telling him, "Hey, you should not say this, Joe," or "Don't put your hard hat on backwards, Joe. Don't shake hands with the ghosts, Joe." I mean, imagine how stressful that job is. Imagine how stressful your job would be if you were Joe Biden's handlers. I mean, if you had any color in your hair, you would be coming out white as a ghost because you were just constantly stressing that guy getting in front of a microphone or in front of a camera. Like, literally, the best place for him is to sit in his room in the White House, like just kind of out of the way, while all the adults like do the actual work and everything. All the lizard people of the swamp kind of make decisions for the radical left. I'm sorry for that one. But anyways, back to Nikki Haley, right? So she's running on the Republican ticket, right? But let's look at some things that she said. She is a big fan of fighting for Israel. Why? What do we gain as America from doing that? No, I might be labeled as whatever for asking these questions, but like realistically, what are we gaining by getting into that conflict? Or what are we gaining by a proxy war with Ukraine that had people all up in arms about the fight for democracy? And I'm not like, I should probably clarify, like I'm not like anti-war or anything like that. I feel like if there's truly an attack on our nation or our territories, Like we have to be able to rebuttal and have defense for a reason. Or you know, I'm sure there's just causes for getting into it. But if it's a fight for resources, I mean, say that. Say that that's why we're getting into this conflict. Like if we're going to get in a war with Iran or something, like say, hey, yeah, we want this oil. Might not be as popular, but like just be straight up. But she's a big fan of that. She's a big fan of helping Israel, which is a whole thing, right? But when looking at a lot of her things that she finds important, it's not a lot of America first stuff. And what do I mean by America first? Well, I mean, you know, securing our border, which I've talked about a lot recently. I mean, clearing the swamp, which may not be the first thing that you'd put on your ticket that you're running on, but I feel like that is definitely something that can happen. Maybe term limits on people in Congress. If anybody's listening, term limits on people in Congress. Um, you know, having it could be anything really. I mean, you could put a label on America first as whatever you want to make it, but basically, the premise of making policies and having ideals that puts your country that you are a leader of first. I mean, I'm sure that there's reasons, probably money, right? That we can't manufacture everything in the United States, that we can't be self sufficient. And I would say, probably money again. But think about if we did, okay? Think about if we use the resources like the the pipelines that we have that we can't be using, or the fracking that we no longer doing that we could be doing, and using the oil that's at our disposal instead of buying it from OPEC, where this foreign entity decides what we pay per barrel. What if we didn't buy everything from a different country? Think of how many jobs that we could have. Now, can we say that Nikki Haley has our interests at heart? Because I would say that she is probably Hillary Clinton with a wig on. And I think that multiple people have said that. And, when you're looking at the two candidates that the Republican establishment wanted to kind of prop up and say, hey, these are the dudes, because you just don't know what's going to happen to the Don. And you know what? You know what sucks? You might think less of me, but like seriously, before 2023, like I'm talking like 2022, I was a big DeSantis fan, and like I enjoyed the way that he ran his state. Like when uh, his stuff got weird in 2020, he put his citizens first, and he was one of the first to open up his borders and be very adamant about the situation, making it black and white what his priorities were and what he was going to do. And he was like the Don, but like a light version, like a Timu version, right? And then with this latest, his candidacy for running for the nominee, listening to him and Nikki Haley and Chris Christie and all of them just talking, and it was crazy to see that they put so much effort in, knowing that they weren't going to be Donald Trump. Like they're smart people, right? I mean, they got to where they are because they, went to the right schools or knew the right people, or I mean, I'm sure talent and charisma, right? But they had to have known, like right now, Nikki Haley is still talking like it's a two-person race. And she ain't won a damn state so far, which, I mean, we're not that far into it. But I mean, realistically, like Vivek, awesome dude. actually really, really enjoy that guy, right? And I hope that Trump puts him in like a prominent place where we can kind of see him because he's charismatic. Like honestly, my place that I would put that guy, he's probably overqualified for it, but be Secretary of State or Secretary of Press. Sorry, press secretary, whatever you want to call him. Golly, I'm all over the board. But like where he's in front of the cameras and he's sharp as a tack. This guy has some really, really good points. And he is of the mindset that he wants to bring the country together and find that common ground. And I've spoken about that on my channel too, like finding the common ground. And I just can't look at him and being like, this dude would be awesome as a future president. And then look at Nikki Haley, who I mean, she's a rhino, dude. Like, she's only on the ticket to serve as somebody that is not Donald Trump. How Republican is she, right? And it leads the question, like, the people that vote Republican, right? And myself included, right? Can you say that you're a Republican anymore with like the Mitch McConnells, with the Nikki Haleys, with the this liberality of our conservative group? Like I think that they're trying to bring some more people over from the left side by having some of these policies and kind of saying these woke things. I mean, look at Fox News. I used to watch Fox News all the time. It was one of the final bastions of legacy media that would speak the truth. And now I can't even turn that crap on, dude. Like I watch Tucker, I watch Newsmax, but mostly I watch independent content creators because they're going to be the ones that's actually telling it to you straight. I mean, as straight as they can be, because YouTube's going to censor what they say or take their money away. One of those two things. So some of my final questions are going to be more like, if you are a Nikki Haley fan, like, what is the reasoning? Like, what is it about her besides the fact that she's not Donald Trump that really just gets you motivated? I'd be really interested to hear that because, you know, I guess everybody has an opinion about everything, and not everybody's gonna like the Don. He's abrasive, a little arrogant, but he's America first, right? And I should probably clarify when I was talking about, the other candidates besides Donald Trump. I would have voted for Vivek. He probably wouldn't even gotten further than Iowa. If Donald Trump wasn't like in the running at all, because he wasn't the guy, right? And it stinks because you would think with us being, I would think to be on the right side of politics, not literally, far right or whatever, but like I would think morally justifiably on the right side of politics. And he was the only one saying like if Donald Trump isn't on the ticket, like I drop out. Or can the rest of you say that you support Donald Trump in this? Or like he knew the reality. He played his cards so well, meaning like he knew where he was in the race. He knew that he was not going to win, but he played his hand on the winner. He said, "I know I'm not going to be the guy, but I know that Don is going to be the guy. And I'm going to make it so evident that I support him that he's going to have no choice but to put me on his team, whether he likes it or not." Because that the guy was charismatic to say the very least, and he had some really good points. Like I said, he was sharp as a tack. And you look at the audacity, and that might be the wrong word, but I feel like audacity hits it right. Of Nikki being like, it's still a two-person race. Not to mention, I don't know if you guys have seen the clip of her saying, "I know what it's like to be discriminated against for being brown." For being brown. She's white as I am. I guess she's part of, like a Indian family, like from India. Um, but I've seen the pictures of her as a youngin. She didn't get into the beauty pageants, not because of the color of her skin, I can tell you that. But that's where the word audacity comes in. She's like, I can relate with people of color. It's like, oh, what's her name? They call her Pocahontas. Warren. She said she was like X amount Native American. Like, dude, we're all X amount Native American. I don't know if that's just like pandering to, I don't even know what base you'd be pandering to, saying that like I understand the plight of the people of color. That would be like me saying it. Oh, and she's supposed to beat the Don. Come on, come on, stop playing. And now, like, I'm not saying the Don is infallible. I mean, they might have some type of card to play that I have no idea of. You know, like the forgive the pun, the trump card, where there's like, gotcha, Uno reverse 2020. Joe Biden wins because of I don't know, they'll make something up, right? That's still very possible. We're very early into 2020, right? They could be dropping the bombs like Donald Trump. He shot me. There's video evidence of Donald Trump assaulting me with his fists. He beat the crap out of me. And it'd be like some dude with a wig on or something. You know, that's very possible. So, keep your eyes peeled of what can happen and watch out for the violent Donald Trump. Just keep this stuff in mind. I think I mentioned this in the previous videos. Like, whatever the popular narrative is, the big thing that's happening, the Ukraines, the Israel's, the Texas border crisis, whatever it is, keep in mind, as long as we're talking about that, we're not talking about whatever they're actually doing. Who's they? Who do I mean by they? The swamp, the lizard people. And just so you know, I'm not a loon. Like, I'm using lizard people as a metaphor. There might be some people out there that, genuinely believe that Democrat leaders are swamp people or whatever. I just find it to be a funny thing to call them. They let their people mask slip and you can see the scales underneath there. Be careful, because Nikki might let her slip, because I think she's secretly a Democrat. And then she'll reveal it. Ah! She was AOC the whole time. Oh, you know what? I appreciate you guys like hanging in there. This one was a little bit more of a silly one. I had a little bit more fun with this one, but I stand with Texas. Hope y'all do too. God bless America.